Jai Jagannath. We are continuing the study on the text of Bhagavad Gita. It's a very informal meeting, so at any time you can stop me for questions, clarifications, or whatever other point you want to make. You can keep the microphone on or off as you like, but don't go away because you should. Sometimes I'm asking questions to you, so from you. So it is nice not to keep any hole in the any gap in the conversation. If you can do that,
Sure.
it will be nice. Thank you. Okay. So, verse 18, we were saying, Antavanta imede ha nitya shokta sarvirina anasino prameya sya tasmadi udhyasva bharata. So, all these material bodies are destined to end, while he who is in these bodies is said to be eternal, because he cannot be destroyed or measured materially. Therefore, O descendant of Bharata, you should fight. Okay. We have the verse 19. Yainam betti hantaram, yaschainam manyate hatam, ubhoto na vijanito, nayam hanti na hanyate. One who knows these means Atman Brahman, in this way, who has this knowledge, does not consider himself to be killing or being killed. In both positions, he knows that one does neither truly kill nor is truly killed. This is a very important point. Some people who don't understand the point properly have said that Bhagavad Gita encourages people to kill, encourages violence, which is not the case, which is obviously not the case. Unfortunately, there is some confusion even among some religious leaders on this issue, so people will be more confused. Now, the point is that the understanding, realizing that we are all Atman Brahman, so we are eternal, so only the bodies are killed, doesn't mean that killing the bodies is okay. Doesn't mean that killing the bodies, is a non sequitur, is something that we can do, happily without any consequence. There is one thing that is called karma. The law of karma is the law of cause and effect. Nobody wants to suffer. Nobody wants to die, except in very, extreme cases. So if we kill someone, we are going to we are causing suffering, we are causing loss. It is something that we will have to pay. Now, we pay more on the basis of which motivation we have for killing. Now, the motivation, the choice, is the most important factor in the connection between cause and effect. Karma is based not so much on the action, but on the choice. So if we have no choice of, about performing or not performing a particular action, our karmic reaction will be minimal. It's not, not zero, but it will be minimal. So, because it's not zero, we have to perform, in the Vedic tradition, we have to perform the Pancha Mahayagyas to pay the rina, the debts that we have. So, The Panchamahayagyas are towards the devas, the rishis, human society, human beings, and all the other beings, all the other living beings, including the insects that we kill without even knowing. When we defend our house from pests, we are actually committing an action that is causing suffering, whether we are aware of it or not. Like if we put a mosquito mat somewhere, we are not even remembering we put a mosquito mat, but we are killing the mosquitoes. Now the point is, the karma for that is minimal, because we have the right to defend ourselves against the aggressors. And mosquitoes are definitely aggressors, especially when they come into our house. So, the karma is minimal, but some little bit is there. So we have to perform some yagyas and pay back the universal communities, including the insects. Now, when Krishna is telling Arjuna to fight, it is not any ordinary fight. Arjuna is not a warmonger. Arjuna is not going around and conquering people who are just sitting there by their own. They're not interested in fighting, or he's not attacking anyone, he's not aggressing anyone. He's just defending himself, his family, and his kingdom from the evil Duryodhana, who has amply demonstrated that he is a very bad person, and Duryodhana has never hesitated to commit very adharmic actions. So Duryodhana and his supporters are there on the battlefield to attack the Pandavas. So Arjuna has a duty to defend himself, his family, and his kingdom, his subjects, who want to be under his protection. So it's not any ordinary war like we can see, in the last 2,000 years at global level. So, recently on Quora, someone, was asking a question saying that Arjuna fought for Krishna. No. Krishna is not telling Arjuna to fight for him. Arjuna has to fight his, according to his Kshatriya duty to protect the Prajas, but in a spirit of service to the universal community, the Virat Rupa. In this sense, Krishna is presenting himself as the sum total of the universal community. In fact, Krishna is showing Arjuna his Virat Rupa. So in the Virat Rupa, everyone is there. So when we do something for Krishna, we are not being sectarian. We are not doing something for someone and leaving out someone else. We are, whatever service we are doing for Krishna, we are doing it for the benefit of the universal community. And how many times Krishna in Bhagavad Gita clearly says, para upakara, working for the benefit of all living beings, being equally benevolent to all beings. Now, so many times, working, serving the others, serving the universal community, not a particular group of others, everyone. I think it's clear. I hope it's clear, because this is a very dangerous, point of possible misconceptions. Okay.
Yeah, it's clear.
Thank you. The microphone is working. Okay. Very good. Any question about this? No particularly.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Not. We can move forward.
Thank you. We can continue. We can continue. Okay, and we have verse 20. Na jayate mriyate vakadachin nayan bhutva bhavitavano bhuya ajo nitya sasvatayam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. The soul, the Atman, the self, never takes birth and never dies at any time. It eternally exists without beginning or end. This soul that is in the body is unborn, eternal, imperishable, immensely ancient, and cannot kill or be killed. So, this is the Atman, this is us. The identity, the sense of identity and identification, the ahankara, makes us think that we are separate individuals that are independent. This is illusion. We are individuals, but we're never separate and we're never independent. It's the illusion of material identification and attachment is the illusion of duality. And it is a type of duality that makes us think that we can be happy, we can achieve happiness by making other people suffer. This is never going to work. Because the only happiness we can really achieve is unconditional. It is our true nature that is not changed, is not really affected by any change that is happening at the level of the material body and mind. What is changing? Only the configuration of material elements. The material elements themselves are also eternal. Sometimes they're manifested, sometimes they're not manifested, but they're eternal. And their form changes constantly. The water will be water all along the material creation, then it will become again non-manifested. But during the entire material manifestation of this universe, water will always be water, but it will take different forms. Like, for example, our human body is about 70% water. But this water is constantly changing. So we drink, we go to the bathroom, and the water is coming in and going out, taking different shapes. Our blood is mainly water, 95% water, 98% water. But it's not always the same water. It's constantly changing. It contains different nutrients, different elements, different microorganisms, and so on. So the Atman, the self, our real identity, our real self, is beyond the material body and the material mind. And this is the ABC of the Bhagavad Gita. If we don't realize and apply the ABC, we cannot go on and become, confused by the idea that we are great scholars. If we don't understand, realize, and apply this basic teaching that we are not the body, we are not the mind, if we don't do that, everything else is useless. Because we are not able to understand the rest. Let's say, for example, in mathematics, if you don't understand the value of the numbers, if you don't know what the numbers indicate, how can you make big equations? Because you like the design, you like the forms of these little things you're writing on the blackboard. What's the benefit? What's the use? What is the value? So it is very important that we understand that the basis of Hindu Vedic knowledge and culture is this identification beyond the material body and material mind. This is also the basis of yoga. Yoga means we overcome the body identification and we focus on the real self. If we miss the first lesson, if we miss the first chapter, the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we don't really understand, we don't put it in practice. How can you practice yoga? So if people think that yoga is a physical discipline or a sport that should make us identify with the gross body more and more, they are going in the wrong direction. It's not that they are gradually learning yoga. They are presenting something that is the opposite of yoga. No, I don't know if it is clear.
Yeah, it's clear. We have discussed about this yoga thing earlier also, that what we
Exactly.
practice,
Yeah.
what is being popularly known nowadays is not. It's
Yeah, but
actually the opposite.
exactly. But we see here, Krishna is confirming, directly in Bhagavad Gita. So, this is verse 20. Then we have 21. Veda vinasinam nityam. Ya enam jamavyayam. Wait. Katham sapurusham karta. Kam ghatayati hanti. Kam. Osanaprita. When one knows that this soul is imperishable and eternal, unborn and unchangeable, how one can kill another, and who will kill whom? This is quite similar to the contents of the Manusya Panchakam, the five, the very short work by Adi Shankar that asks the same questions. Also, a similar point is made in Adi Shankar's Nirvanastakam, Chidananda Rupam Shivaham, which is, there are also very, very nice objects of meditation. Okay. Then 22. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya, navani grinati naroparani, tata sarirani vihaya jirnani, anyani samyati navani dihi. Just like a man abandons the clothes that have become torn or worn out and acquires other and new clothes, in the same way one leaves a damaged body and accepts another new body. So the idea is that we should keep the same awareness, the same consciousness, and envision our life as a continuum beyond birth and death. This is the meaning of not being born and not dying. We know we are always the same. Okay. Then we have 23. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavaka, nachainam kredayanti apo nasasayati maruta. This soul who is in this body, this, cannot be cut by any weapon, or burned by fire, moistened or soaked by liquids, or dried by the wind. Because the Atman is not a material element, so it's not touched by material elements. 24. Achedyayam adayoyam. Adaya yasosya evacha. Adyayo sosya evacha. Nitya sarvagata sthab nur. Achalayam Sanatana. This spirit cannot be hacked to pieces or burned or desiccated. Actually, it is eternal, omnipresent, permanent, and does not go away. It is everlasting. This Sarvagata is very interesting, means omnipresent. This means that Atman and Brahman are one and the same. It's like comparing a molecule of water to the entire hydrosphere of the planet. Each molecule of water, wherever it is always in the hydrosphere of the planet. There is no separation, no independent existence. So it's everywhere, omnipresent. Okay. Avyaktayam achintayam avikarya yam uchate. Avikarya ayam uchate. Tasmad devam viditvaina nanusachitum. It is said that this soul is invisible to material eyes, inconceivable to material intellect, and not affected by change. Therefore, knowing this soul, you should not worry. Means, okay, whatever happens, it's all part of the game. Okay. 26. Athachanam nitya jatam, nityam va vanyasemritam, tathapi tvam mahabaho, naivam sochitumarasi. Even if you think that this soul always continues to take birth and to die, in any case you still should not be aggrieved, O mighty armed Arjuna, because it's inevitable. Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityur, dhruvam janma mritasya cha, tasmad, apariharye, tasmad apariharyerte, na tvam sochitum arasi. Because one who has taken birth must necessarily die, and one who has died will again be reborn. There is no point in despairing over something that is inevitable. 28. Avyaktadini bhutani, vyaktam adhyani bharata, avyaktani dhananyeva, tatra kaparidevana. O descendant of Bharata, all the beings, means living entities and states of being, are initially non-manifested, then they become visible in an intermediate stage, and then again disappear in the end. What is the point of lamenting about that? This also is changing the meter here. Aisharyavat pasyati kaschidenam. Aisharyavat vadati tataiva chanya. Aisharyavat chainam manya shinoti. Shutva pyanam vedana chaiva kaschit. Some see this Atman as amazing. Some others describe it as amazing. Some hear of it as amazing. And some remain unable to understand it even after hearing about it. So, because they still remain in the material identification, so they cannot understand what is beyond the body and the mind. They cannot even realize it. Many people think they are a body and they have a soul. But that's just a matter of faith, because if you think that you have a soul, nobody knows what the soul is. Nobody knows where it is, what is the point, what is the use, or anything. If you understand that you are the soul, immediately everything becomes clear. You know what you are. And you are not the body, because you had a body, a different body when you were born. You have a different body when you're 10, 15 years old. You have a different body now, and you have a different body when you get old. And then it's the same when you die. And so Krishna also makes this example in Bhagavad Gita to explain the fact that we are not the body. Okay, 29. 30. O descendant of Bharata, this eternal soul that lives in the body cannot be killed, and is present in all bodies. Therefore, you should not be aggrieved for all these living beings. Dehi nityam avadhyayam, dehe sarvasya bharata, tasmat sarvani bhutani, na tvam sochitum arasi. Considering your own dharmic duty, you should not hesitate, because for a kshatriya there is nothing better than fighting a dharmic battle. Swadharmam apichavekshan na vikam pitumarhasi. Dharmyadhi yuddha shreya nyat anyat. Kshatriyasya na vidyate. We have to understand what is a dharmic battle, because some people badly mistranslate it as a holy war. And because we have a very bad experience of the holy wars of Abrahamic religions, we can get confused, because dharmic battle is not a war of aggression in which you try to conquer regions and people to impose your own religion. Dharmic battle is the defending the good and the innocent against aggression and mistreatment. That's a very different thing. Okay. And 32. O son of Prita, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such opportunity comes unsought. For a warrior engaging in such a battle is like having the doors of heaven open in front of him. Again, we see Yadrichaya, of its own accord. It means that it's coming by itself. The opportunity comes unsought. We are not going to attack others. It's a war that comes to us. When we are attacked by aggressors who are threatening, or they are, damaging, causing damage and suffering to ourselves or to the people and beings that are protected by us. This is the meaning of Yadrichaya. Okay. Yeah.
One question I have here,
Please.
like this unsought, when we say, uh, and we understood what is dharmic war,
Yes.
can't we say that in today's context, whoever is fighting for a state, that can be let's say somebody is in army or they are trying to protect their nation. For them, it's a dharmic war, right?
Yes, if they are trying to protect their nation. Yeah. The
Okay,
point is that,
but when we see
yeah.
this hijacking of this whole nation from Taliban, who are who in their
Yes.
own sense they think they are right, and they in Afghanistan they've rolled over the
Yeah.
current government. I think last year.
Yeah.
So can they also be considered, because those who are maybe recruited in military after Taliban took over, so they also now would be fighting for a state, but we don't know what
This
their
is
dharmic or
interesting.
not.
Yes, this is very interesting. Now, the problem is that the people who have been recruited by the Taliban are not exactly defending themselves or their own homes. they may be defending themselves in their own homes when the other party, the other side, comes to a fight that we have challenged them to. You see, there is a difference. Now, the warriors on the battlefield, let's say Arjuna, okay? Arjuna is fighting to defend himself, his family, his subjects, but he doesn't go to the battlefield with all the children. You know, he doesn't put the women and children in front, so when he kills the enemy, he can say that he's defending his family. You understand? You know, strategy is a very big field of study. Now, dharma is simply defensive. You can never attack and say that this is dharma. It's never, you know, especially you cannot attack innocent people and say that this is that you're defending yourself. Because if the people you are shooting are harmless, this is not dharma. If they are only harmless, in a very temporary state, then you have to consider if this temporary state is likely to be very short. And the person is going to become again hostile, belligerent, and aggressive. Then you can take advantage of his temporary harmless state to attack him. This is what happened, for example, when Krishna told Arjuna to attack Karna or Drona, or when Rama attacked Vali. Why it is dharmic to do so? Because that person was not engaging in a dharmic manner to begin with. And if you don't measure up to the challenge, the bad people will win. You see the difference? Now, let's see if we can make another example. You don't go with a knife to a gunfight. You know, if the other person not only has a gun, but has a sniper gun that can kill you at 1 kilometer distance, from 1 kilometer away, what is the dharmic thing to do here? Go on the battlefield with a sword so you can face your enemy? No. You have, first of all, to have intelligence, to have information, proper information of who is there, what is doing, what is the, what is the action that is going on. It's not so simple, you know. It can be extremely complicated. But the spirit of dharma must always be respected. You know, maybe we cannot observe the letter of the code of honor of the Kshatriyas, but we always have to respect the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, you know, today's wars, you know, you mentioned the Taliban. You know, the Taliban, by definition, you know, the Islamist jihadis, you know, whether they're following the real Islam or not, let the Muslim religious authority define that. You know, we are not, we don't want to, judge. But if someone has very clearly established that they want to kill anyone who doesn't follow their ideology, and they are going to do it anywhere, wherever, without prejudice. Whatever, whoever they encounter, they will try to do that. You can adjust your strategy accordingly. If they are in their house, they hide in their house, because they are not following a code of honor. They hide in their house, or they hide in a school, or, in a hospital, wherever there are innocent, harmless people, If you blow up, the entire place is different from blowing up a school or a hospital where there are no terrorists. I'm not saying that you can do it as a matter of fact without having any karmic consequence. But you will have to establish, you have to judge, to decide, to choose which of the two evils is worse and which is less. Like, for example, we know Parashurama. Okay, so you know Parashurama. Parashurama had 21 wars against the bad Kshatriyas, and killed a lot of people. But he knew that even as an avatar, he needed to give the proper example, so he went to purify himself. Krishna, we see Krishna in the Krishna Leela in Vrindavan, in Gokula Vrindavan. He killed this Vatsasura. And, what is the other one? Vatsasura took the form of a calf, a baby cow, a baby, bull. And he also killed another asura who had taken the form of the bull, even. So after killing these two asuras, Krishna went to purify himself, to take bath, and purify himself, and not just for cleaning his clothes, but as a purification from the stain, the moral stain of having killed. So this is also applying to everyone. Sometimes we need to do things that should not be required. But we have to adapt our strategy to the context, to the situation, time, place, and circumstance. Desha Kalapatra, to the person we are facing, to the time, to the place, to the situation. Because otherwise, we are not observing Dharma. We are not respecting Dharma. We are just creating confusion. I don't know if it is clear.
Yeah, clear. But again, coming back to that example,
Yes.
see, from somebody who's new recruit in Taliban, like some soldiers they're recruiting now. So for them, how can we decide? We talk about this dharma and vidya is common for all,
Yes.
but those from their childhood they have been trained to trained in avidya, I would say.
Yeah.
So for
Of
them, they
course.
might not see the what is morally correct. So can they would they be liable of their actions, or those who teach wrong they would be liable?
Of course, but okay, yes. The teachers are more liable. But even those who have been indoctrinated, they also have some responsibility. Because, doesn't matter how much indoctrination you get, you still have a conscience. Now, karma is proportional to the freedom of choice. Karma is not so much based on the action, but on the freedom of choice, on the choice we make. So, for example, if you are in a position to help a good person who's suffering, but you don't do it, that brings more karma than killing a person who is attacking you, or attacking, your family, or home, or nation, or whatever. Why? Because you have a choice in the first case, but you don't have a choice in the second case. So when someone has been indoctrinated, they don't have much of a choice. They're puppets. But that doesn't mean that we should not stop them, because they're still aggressors. So it is our duty to stop them. We might make more bad karma than they are making. Especially if we kill them or we retaliate it in a adharmic manner. Let's make an example. A practical example. We're talking about the Taliban. Now, we might remember the riots that happened, especially, I think, in Maharashtra. When there was this, what was the railway station where it happened? A train full of pilgrims, Hindu pilgrims from Ayodhya, were coming back in train, and you remember that?
Yeah, Godhra. It happened in
Godhra,
Gujarat.
exactly, Godhra. Godhra is in Maharashtra.
No, it's in Gujarat.
Gujarat, okay. I remember it was, western, northwestern. Okay, in Gujarat, yes, the Gujarat riots. So what happened? There was a group of very peaceful people who were sitting in the train. Okay, they were not giving problems to anyone. So now we have a band of terrorists that deliberately set fire to the train and kill all these poor people. And the police didn't do anything to stop them. Of course, Hindus got angry, which is a natural thing. The problem is that in the riots, when the mob is going around rioting, they think of retaliating. So they ended up killing and damaging people who were actually not responsible for the Godhra killings, for the train attack. So these people who attacked non-combatants, people who were not directly involved in the aggression, they were killed for retaliation. And this is a very bad karma, because retaliation has nothing to do with dharma. Nothing. So you have to identify exactly who the responsible people are. And then you go in a surgical intervention to the people who are actually responsible. It doesn't matter if they actually put the fire, they throw the kerosene bottle or not. But if they are responsible, like they, maybe some mullahs who, encourage and organize and order their followers to do that, those people are the responsible, the aggressors, and they should be dealt with, even if they hide behind their own family, or they hide behind, stupid, indoctrinated people. This is the point. The point if you go retaliating towards an entire category, considering them responsible for an aggression, you're making a mess, you're making a lot of bad karma. Same thing when, this is not particularly Hindu, this is political. When there was this Amritsar problem, what was that, the Blue Star operation, and then Indira Gandhi was killed by her two Sikh bodyguards. Lots of people went around attacking Sikhs that had absolutely nothing to do with any of that. And we got bad karma from that. We still are, because it was easy for, anti-Hindu organizations and groups and persons to, poison the mind of many Sikh groups and individuals to convince them that the Hindus are their enemies. So, the karma keeps rolling. And retaliation is stupid. Because as it is said, the Bible says an eye for an eye. And the famous saying, of the genius that commented it, an eye for an eye and everybody goes blind. So what? What's the point? The fact that you don't take an eye from the same person who took away an eye from you. You're taking it from their relatives or the people who look like them or whatever, which is stupid. Because, you are attacking innocent people. You're damaging innocent people, harmless people. That's a bigger karma. So, it's not as simple and linear as it looks. This is why we need strategy, which is something that Kali Yuga people tend not to have much of. But still, if we want to win, if we want to do our duty as a Kshatriya, we need to understand. We need to become more expert at Kshatriya. Many people think that, military personnel or police are Kshatriyas. Ha! Absolutely not. Police and military personnel are Shudras. They're not Kshatriyas at all, because they get a salary and they follow orders. They have zero personal responsibility, so they're not Kshatriyas. If policemen were actually Kshatriyas, if soldiers and army personnel were Kshatriyas, they would be personally responsible of every single action they do. But they're not. Because they're not involved in the decisional process. They follow the orders of politicians. Are politicians Kshatriyas? No, because the politicians have zero personal responsibility and they are not interested in the protection of the prajas. They're interested in keeping the power through vote, through elections. So where is the Kshatriya in there? So there are no Kshatriyas today. Just like there are no Brahmanas. Zero. They're all Shudras. Even less than Shudras. It is said, Kala Shudra Sambhava. In Kali Yuga, everybody becomes a Shudra. Because there is no qualification, no guna, no karma. What is the duty of a Brahmana? What is the duty of a Brahmana? Getting a salary. You go and see in every scripture, every shastra, every smriti, it is very clearly said that someone who follows orders serves a master and gets a payment for the work that he's doing, he's a dog. He's not a Brahmana, cannot be a Brahmana. Now all the Brahmanas, they want, government jobs so that they can have zero responsibility, zero work, they can be as corrupt as as they want, and have zero, they don't have to decide, they don't have to make choices. They're just trying to work as little as possible, take as much salary and bribes as possible. How can we solve the problem by, making laws that, tell people, if you commit bribe or take bribe, you go to jail? Who is going to apply it? You're giving the responsibility of the cows to the butcher. They're giving the power to control the cows to the butchers. How they will protect the cows? They will not. It's impossible. Even transfer. They have this stupid idea that if they transfer government function, officers, that will control corruption. That's exactly the opposite result. Because when an officer knows that he has 5 years and then he's gone, he is going to do whatever he wants. Because, after 5 years, he doesn't have to respond to anyone. It's not his business anymore. It's not his problem. So he will try to pick up as much, money as possible and try to work as little as possible because, hey, it's just 5 years, then I'm gone. Carpe diem. Seize the day. And nobody is responsible. Politicians are not responsible because the party has the power, not the individual politicians. If an individual politician makes a mess, creates problems, damages the nation or the prajas or whatever, they just remove him and put another one who is just the same. Who's paying the damage? Nobody. The taxpayers are paying the damage. So that is totally irresponsibility. They're not liable at all. You see the problem?
Mm-hmm.
So these are not Kshatriyas. So, the Kshatriya, real Kshatriya is engaged in dharmic action. Otherwise, he will lose a good name as Kshatriya. What you will obtain is papam, the stain of sin. Papam avapsirsi. You will get the papam. You get the bad karma. Unfortunately, there are not many people who actually understand this point. Okay, so it is clear. Any objection, any question, any doubt?
No, clear.
Clear. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oops. And we have verse 34. Everybody will speak of your infamy forever, which unfortunately is only done by the opposition parties. For a respectable person, a bad name is worse than death. Akirtim chapi bhutani, katayishyanti te avyayam. Sambhavitasya chakirtim maranad atirichote. For a respectable person, a bad name is worse than death because a bad name is actually an obstacle to performing his duty. Especially for a Kshatriya. If a Kshatriya gets a bad name, even unjustly, then he will not be able to actually perform his duty properly. Same for a Kshatriya. If a Kshatriya has a bad name, he is not going to be able to protect the Prajas properly. So it's not so much a damage to the Atman or to him personally, but it's damage to the sacredness of his duty. Therefore, a good person will feel it worse than that. Krishna has said, we say later on, that one should perform one's duty without being distracted by honor or dishonor, victory or defeat, gain or loss, happiness, joy or distress and everything. But that means that he can continue doing his duty, even if nobody is giving him honors. But the bad name is not just a lack of honors. It's a real obstacle. So we have to be careful, and wherever possible, we need to protect our service, our duty, our swadharma. Of course, wherever possible, because this also requires some strategy. Sometimes when we try to defend our swadharma, we may actually have the effect of looking like we are actually confirming that we are bad people. So that's also another, another subject for discussion. But this is important. We have to be careful, especially when we are in a leading position. Any elaboration on this? No.
No.
Pretty clear. Okay. 35. The great generals will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear. Those who used to keep you in such a high esteem will not take you seriously anymore. This is exactly the point. People will not take you seriously. So how are you going to do your job? You understand? So it's not a matter of ego. It's not a matter of egotism or that you want to show off, you want to have a position, you identify with the position. No, it's just about being able to do your job because people are taking you seriously enough for you to actually do, perform your duty correctly. Okay. Again, your enemies will circulate many bad rumors about you, offensively demeaning your valor. What could be more painful for you? This is another point. As soon as some rumors are starting, they tend to multiply. And because, the enemy hostility, is there. There are enemies. Yudhishthira has been called Ajatashatru, means one whose enemy was never born. Yet Yudhishthira is there, standing on the battlefield like all the others because he has no enemies, but many people want to attack him. So, many people are behaving like enemies against him. They're attacking him, preventing him from doing his swadharma. He's doing his rightful and correct duty of Kshatriya. Okay. 37. If you are killed in battle, you will attain the higher planets. And if you win the battle, you will enjoy the pleasures of this world. Therefore, get up, O son of Kunti, and abandoning all doubts, fix your mind on the battle. So, whatever, if you do your duty, if you win, you will, get the prasad of the yajna. Whatever benefit we get from the proper performance of our duty selflessly, even if we perform our duty selflessly, we still get some prasad. And if we die, okay. If we lose, okay. We'll have another chance. We learn. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. So there is no problem. We should do our duty without being distracted and confused by all the other considerations. Okay. Now, I think we have done about 1 hour, so maybe we can continue from verse 38 next time. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah, fine.